You having fun?
Aye. Are you going to take your body off it? Okay.
I decided to take the carpets out. The carpets themselves, the black carpet, actually quite good condition. However, this is what they've chosen to put as underlay.
Ah, lovely.
That was just directly under it.
Yeah.
So the interior is looking a bit different. Well, let's just explain. In here, there were 2 more bolts. One here, and one on the other side, obviously. In doing that, I started removing a bit of carpet. And in doing that, I found, well, I already knew that the backing was just more carpet. Here's the piece of wood that was crammed into that gap quite neatly, if previous owner needs any credit for it. Yeah, so this has been like dug out from the inside. There's actually some on this armrest. Yeah, that's the fact that that sort of kind of disappears when you scratch it. Yeah, it's mould. Come on. Oh, there's some drilled holes there. Oh, there's another one there. Oh, there's some cracking as well. Yeah, it's glued on very nicely, and to be honest, it's not a bad idea to put carpet backing carpets, because then it's just doubled up. Oh, for crying out loud, that's drilled and riveted in as well. Sorry, there's another bodge here as well. Oh, the bodges underneath, I haven't got to them yet. So still got more to remove here, and more to remove here. That's where all the mouldy stuff was. It turns out that underneath the carpet, on both sides, were the original panels for going on the heater. Unfortunately, one's broken. Don't know whether I did that, or whether it was already done, but rather annoyingly, they completely stuck everything to it, so they're probably bin fodder, I don't know. And the same goes for all in this footwell as well. There's, yeah, I need to undo some screws down here. The footrest, turns out it wasn't the original footrest or anything, it's literally a piece of angle iron with some drilled holes in it. It's not even angle iron, it's angle aluminium, and it's channel that had just been cut into that. But good thing is I can now actually fit my foot on the clutch and depress it without pressing the brake pedal. So, yay! There's a lot of faffing about to do still. Well, all of the carpets are gone, and if you look down here, notice how there's a heater blower down there. Yeah, that should be there. In fact, I will probably insert the video that I put on the Scimitar page filmed off my iPhone, because why not? Scimitar owners, especially those who've pulled... Let's try again. Scimitar owners, especially those who have pulled a car out of a hedge to restore. Strip your interior. I'll tell you exactly why. Because, especially if you've had interiors and things that someone's decided, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to sort of glue things over it. Yes, there's lots of mould in places. You'll also find things like the heater mechanism there is completely seized, so even though the handles go up and down, they don't actually actuate anything, they just bend the rods. But most importantly, what I'm going to recommend you do is remove all of the carpets and things, and especially remove that heater fan thing, which actually, when I bought the car, I had no idea that it had a heater blower in the wing. It goes here, and there's another one over there. Yes, there's only one heater blower thingy in the centre, so it uses, you know, the matrix and stuff is there. I think there's a heater blower in there. There must be. I don't know. I've only had this car for, what, 9 months? Yeah, the reason I recommend you remove it is because it's full of leaves. It's full of all of this, which, oh, it's also got a bit of blue paint because the previous owner never masked anything off before they painted it. Yeah. Oh, by the way, and also, I don't know whether you can see all of that, but that came out of the car. Onwards! So the same goes on this side. It took a few hours to remove all these nails because half of it's a screw and half of it's a nail. Now, in theory, that's quite a good idea because you bash it in to the fiberglass, which is also into a sort of wall thing. I don't know, but it just means removing them after 48 years of being completely stationary is nigh on impossible. So what I basically did was you prise the whole thing off just a little bit with a big screwdriver. Only need to do it a few millimeters, and then you take the mold grips and you grip onto the head of the nail. Then you take this hammer, well, you can't take this hammer, but you take any hammer and you put it as near as you can to it, and then with the mold grips that's attached in the nail, put it on and then leave the nail off. Takes about 30 million attempts per nail, but it comes off eventually. I have no idea whether these actually work or not, but there's one very good reason why I had to take them off. Because when that heater blower goes, I don't even know whether it's the heater blower or whether it's just a fresh air blower, whatever, all of this dust, all of that will go with it. All of the rust that is in there, and all of the 48 years worth of dead creatures and leaves and stuff, which for now are going to live underneath the car. So I'm now going to just brush all of that out and make the passenger side look as clean and tidy as the driver's side did before I threw all of the tools over there to do this filming bit.
So as well as removing the carpets and the HVAC fans, I ended up starting to figure out how to mount the Jaguar XJS seats properly rather than propping them up on blocks of wood. I will get back to this at a later date, as my efforts so far were just as bodged as the rest of the car. I imagine you're thinking, yes, but in the previous episode you failed to remove the body. You should still be trying to remove the body. And indeed, you'd be correct. However, these procrastinations were necessary, as there was an elephant in the room. My cluttered unit has been home to various machines much older than I am, being its in a century-old factory, including this rather large cyclone extractor and all of its pipework, which were very in the way and, at the time of filming, were up for sale. So this panning shot in August 2020 marked the final time my unit would be like this, as the following week it was to be collected, and that meant my unit was to be somewhat disassembled. So having rebuilt my unit to fit Max, I now needed to undo most of what I did, starting by removing everything around the extractor, including Max. This resulted in two of my favourite pictures that I really want to replicate when Max is complete. This was followed by hanging all of the pipework connected to the building, ready to be disconnected and removed the next day. Judicious use of the forklift made this quite an easy task, especially loading the individual pieces into their van. I imagine that any health and safety wombles would have a heart attack watching anything that we do, but honestly, they needn't worry. My favourite part of everything being removed was this pipe in the corner. Once it was removed, I had a corner! I've never had a corner before, and now I do! Then it was time to forklift the motor off the top of the cyclone collector below to bring it all out piece by piece. There was still the matter of removing the pipework that wasn't in my unit, which was done in the same careful and equally safe manner. This left me with a clear wall and room for much needed upgrades in my workshop, which I'm clearly happy about. I got some racking that had stood outside for over a decade, which gave me my basic layout for the unit, then added some storage into the corner, immediately filling it. I screwed boards into the top, giving some actual rigidity, along with a new floor, then replaced the hinges with wood on my brother's loft ladder, and then I climbed up.
It looks like I'm stood on my head, but I'm not. This is just the ceiling, because I'm up here now. Yay!
The main goal then was to tidy up and get Max back into my unit.
Ta-da! Kind of. Nowhere near done. Still all stuff lying around everywhere, but hey, at least I can fit a car in there now.
Then with a push and a shove similar to in episode 1, Max was back in my unit and I could finish my workshop rebuild. My dedicated metal workbench was in place, overhead storage being utilised, and then I began to create what is now known as Cozy Corner, despite not being in a corner. All of this took about a month in August 2020, with plans to remove the body as soon as possible.
So, we're ready, I think. And this isn't the only camera I've got set up, because I also have this one. I don't actually know if it's even on or working, but... Now, I could have dusted this, but I only dusted it last week, and then Steve did some more work, so it got covered in sawdust again. Oh, by the way, I've completely rebuilt everything. Yeah, all that's new.
As you can see, this lift was about as successful as the rest of them so far, but I kind of included it in just as context, I suppose.
Oh, what have we got? It's... No, that's too tight round there. Yep, loosening it down. Ah, well. Yeah, so that doesn't work. But it's what I'm here to test. Yeah, so that pulls in on the arch too much. So I think, have my lunch and make another plan. Turns out I might still be using the beam and just letting it go.
So the cunning blue.
Yeah, so the first plan was attach all of these to the hook.
That's on that lip there, it's fucking solid.
Yeah.
Blocks them under there with a pole all the way through and fasten them to the pole.
Fun thing is, also, that surface touching up there isn't this.
No, it's not.
There's a gap.
Yeah,
It's about 4 inches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just see it when you look through the headlights, you can just see it comes.
So, after formulating a plan that would work, we came up with many other ideas that probably wouldn't, and then proceeded to chat about all sorts of nonsense. This may be included in an unlisted video one day, even if it's just for my own amusement. For now though, we can get back to body lifting with the plans that we actually came up with. That being to lift the front end of the body skywards without damaging it even more than it already is.
There's a tyre down there that I just tripped over. Oh, I didn't put my tripod up. It's over there. Oh crap. Now the tripod is not there, it's over there. Excellent. So that means, show you the solutions to my lifting the front end that's almost collapsed dilemma. So, this is what I meant about the collapse thing. I've reviewed the footage and noticed that all of it was too dark to actually see. Basically, the scimitar is normally lifted at the points where it mounts to the chassis, here and here. Problem is how much that isn't flat, so that side's collapsed. Also, it flexes. I don't know whether it's supposed to or not, but when I'm finished with it, it won't. This side, however, well, this is completely destroyed. All of the bit that's supposed to, well, if you look at the shape on this side, you know, it gives it strength because it's got some extra shape to it. This, it just doesn't exist. It's not there. There should be a battery tray there. I'm glad there isn't, because it means I can build a bigger battery tray quite easily. Either that or cut the inner wing out. I don't know, I'll decide later. This, however, is the issue. If you look down there, let's just shine a torch on that as well. Yeah, that's an issue. Yeah, all of this missing part is an issue, and as a result, all of this just is wibbly, and it shouldn't be. So that's not strong enough to support a beam. You may notice that there is a beam, but don't worry, I've come up with a solution. And it is this. The beam was put in place first. What I came up with was a thing that slides over the beam this way, but it slides when it's completely flat against it. Then when it's in place, you lift the whole thing up and screw it in place. Yeah, there's no doubt that that's all securely in place. And then the other side was a little bit more complex because, rather annoyingly, this side is slightly higher by about an inch than this side. As a result, I had to cut a notch out, so it's actually smaller. And you can see the notch part in here. Just zing. So, yeah, that was necessary to actually make it go under that bit. So that, I'm quite confident, is ready to lift. I know that because I've tested it by lifting it by about an inch, and there was no creaking, no noises, but it was 9:30 yesterday and I really wanted to go home and have some food. So the rear, well, most people, what they do is they lift the front up, and then when there is room to go under this part of the chassis, which, you know, sorry, not under the chassis, under this part of the body even, when there is room to go under there, that's where they go. But I looked underneath the car and I thought, why would I do it that way? Why not send it underneath the seat? I mean, it's strong enough, it's boxed in several places, and the strap's not going to go anywhere, so hopefully I should just be able to lift it. The only things that might cause a bit of an issue are basically the bolts and stuff that are under there. Yes, fair enough, they're all, you know, cut off and sheared and everything, where you can see that there's a bolt there. Yeah, there's just no head to it or anything, so that's just all wobbly and easy to get at. I mean, looking up into here, basically that's the point there that needs to be hooked around. No, not that bit, camera. That bit, yes, there you go. So that's the bit that links to the rear bumper, and won't when I'm finished with it. The whole thing needs to come up, and then the chassis needs to come forwards. Oh, which it can't because it's on axle stands. Oh, that's going to be an issue. Oh well, I'll figure it out. That's as far as I've got. Oops. Well, that is the last job, I think, before removing the body. Yes, it's interior removal, for the simple fact, well, everybody said, you need the doors and glass and interior out. Well, I'm not removing the glass, yet. I can't be bothered removing the doors because everything's just far too rusty. And, well, that just leaves the interior. I can't remove that. I mean, the carpet's already gone. It never came with seats. I put those in, so they were never actually properly put in. They were just sort of put there so I could go, hey, it's got seats and I can fit. With the exception of maybe sweeping and tidying up a little bit inside, which, frankly, is probably unnecessary. I can get rid of these pieces of wood. Just put them down here for now. There's a few random washers and stuff, I'm not bothered about them. But there we go. Everything removed. Everything that needs to be anyway. Gear lever is even in the right-ish position, but it's not like it's a particularly fixed thing, considering, well, that's currently in 4th gear. The left and right gate is actually okay. It's just the whole... That's in 1st gear. Excellent. Yeah, that should come out of that. I just can't wait to make the whole interior as bright as that bit. I don't think I've actually filmed anything to do with it. It looked like that anyway. So there we go. Oh, that shot's nice. There's my seats. There's the rest of my interior. There's a pile of sawdust where a cat pissed earlier. I think we're ready. Body's coming off tomorrow. But I'm not going to be doing it by myself. I simply got convinced by the chaps when I said, oh, I might have the body lifted off by Wednesday, so, you know, you'll all come in and it'll be up in the air. And, well, Dave just kind of looked at me funny. He just goes, if anything goes wrong, well, let's put it this way. There's 2 hoists, and there's potentially 20 different bolts that are all slightly cut off, but not completely removed. It could get stuck on any one of those. If it gets stuck, and I'm just pulling away at that, and it comes up and up and up and up, it just gets to a point where, you know, it's a bit tight, and I think, I'll just crawl underneath and prise it off. And then all of a sudden, a hoist, for no reason at all, just gives way. Yeah, if I'm underneath that car, I'm a goner. So, let's wait till tomorrow, eh?